Mandatory witchy sip. Good tea. Hey guys, it's me, Athena. As promised, I'm bringing you a video about grimoires, aka books of shadows, or in the case of my first one, as my book of light and dark. I have recorded 2 previous videos, pretty lengthy ones, all about this topic. They are found on Patreon. I apologize that they're no longer out there for public consumption. I don't know if that's a forever thing or if that's as long as I'm still working at this school thing. I'm afraid to say school. So today I'm going to try to discuss a little bit about my old Book of Shadows, Book of Light and Dark, and my new one. Of course, these will have to be safe for work, so I'll have to leave out some of the more interesting things, but there should still be some stuff here that you'll enjoy, hopefully. As always, hop on over to Patreon if you want to see more. I did count the other day, and there are officially 108 videos on there that used to be available to the public that I have since made available only for Patreon. If you don't understand why, or if that pisses you off, please refer back to previous videos, recent ones in which I told you why this had to happen. I will link those below if I remember. Onward, shall we? I wanted to make this video because the most recent episode of New World Witchery was all about books of shadows, what they are, what yours is like, what do you include, what do you not include, do you actively use yours, if not, why? And I resonated with so much. I got really excited when I was listening. I've listened to it twice. I wanted to listen to it again before this video, but then they came out with their recent episode of the Buffy podcast, so I didn't get to do that. One weird thing about me is that I feel like I have a little bit of a, it's not a fear of completion, it's just sort of, okay, I'm done with this, let's move on, what's next? Therefore, this one was so close to finished, and then probably because I went ahead and bought a new one, I never did revisit this. I left out the things that I like the most, which is very odd. For instance, I was putting the holidays in here, the Wiccan holidays, and I never put Samhain in here. That one is my most favorite one, and I think sometimes when there is something that is very important to me, I want to do it right, and then because I am not a perfectionist, but because I worry that it won't be good enough, I never get around to doing it. I don't know, but anyway, I'll show you a little bit about the old one. So originally, this was a book on sale, a sketchbook on sale at Michael's. I liked it because it kind of had an old look about it, and it's embossed, if that's the correct word. It's got a foil type design on it that looks like clocks. It was kind of old looking when I got it, but it is hella old looking now. I glued some ribbons in it to separate sections, and then I proceeded to age the pages. I've tried lots of different ways over the years, from coffee to tea stain, and honestly, the best thing I have found is paint. I use, I believe it's acrylic kind of paint. I'm not an artist. I just grabbed paints that I found around the house because I used to be married to an artist and we still live in the same house. And so I went around the house and found a bunch of browns and metallic golds and some bronzes, and I would do a wash. I would just get a little bit, I'd really wet the brush, and I would just paint it like that. Water and paper together have a way of drying really messy, but it went with my aesthetic, so it was good. In the very front, there is a copy out of a book I was reading. I cannot tell you what this is without me spectacles. Oh, it was from the Magus or the Magus, forgive me if I'm not saying it right, and it was written in London 1800 from Francis Barrett, and it is a caution to the inexperienced in this magical art, a word of advice to those who would be adepts. I'm not reading it to you. If you're interested, go check it out. I bought the book. This was just a picture out of one of those Llewellyn wall calendars, and at the time it reminded me of someone I used to hold dear who has since become a stranger in my life, so but I keep the picture in there anyway. I love this book because I adorned it with real items, feathers, stickers. I know people are weird about stickers, but if they're vintage looking or, I don't know, have a cool classic look about them, I don't have a problem with it. That was a cutout. And then for a while, my plan was to add my own personal art by coloring. Because again, when it comes to growth mindset, mine is atrociously bad. It's very fixed when it comes to my abilities as an artist, or lack thereof. But with a lot of time and effort, I can color something. I thought this was a beautiful representation of Athena with her owl. Vellum paper added a lot, and again, just cutting out things, adding it in. There are pages about each moon. Here's a quick example from August, the sturgeon moon, and a little ritual that you can do. But then when I realized I didn't want to go through 13 whole moons, I just ended like this, making lots of little envelopes with little seals, and inside each envelope it has the rest of the full moons and information about them. Information about the magical broom. Again, just evidence of what I mean when I say I like to put real things, like a fern I found and another envelope with more information in it. More vellum to add depth. Then I went on pages and pages and pages of runes that I made. Now, this first page is handwritten by me, but I also really enjoyed getting more accomplished faster and not stressing over my handwriting. And I would type things up, print it out in a fun font, and print it out also on this aged looking paper that I found on Amazon forever ago. Again, many people would find that distasteful, but this is not their book. I happen to like it and think it turned out quite well. I did sketch little, symbols at the top of pages, so I am putting my energy into it. And again, I took the time and energy to type up these words. These are my words. It's not copy and paste, but guess what? Even if it was copy and paste, that is fine if that's how you want to do you. These books are for no one except you, or my books are for me. And if I do choose to leave them for future generations, they can deal with it. If they think it's bad, then screw them. My guess, though, is that anyone who I would leave these to would be interested in them. I don't think anyone would sit and judge, like, oh my God, she printed it out with a printer and she did not handwrite it with ink she made herself. Okay, nobody's going to do that. I'm the only witch I know in the family, and honestly, that makes me, queen here. This is a drawing. Oh my gosh, how beautiful. If you guys don't know Travis from Pagan Scholar, he's quite the artist and the writer. And long ago, he mailed this to me, and inside is a letter and some poetry, and I value that. And if I ever come back to this, which I hope I do, it will go on my Samhain page. Now, here's how I did my holidays. Again, I used to try to always find a beautiful woman of sorts that I could add color to in any way I desired, accompanying a page. I cannot see what I'm doing. This I typed up myself. Did not put it in my handwriting because my handwriting bites ass. But all of this information came from me. This stuff came from some Llewellyn books I had. This part came from my witchy meetup group. In book, this was my very first page. This was also my very first witchy holiday that I officially celebrated with other witches, and it meant the world to me. This was my idea of Bridget. This is information that I typed up and put together with some petals from a real shamrock. Ostara, same thing. Every page, at least for a while, every page had something I would color and then some real pieces from nature along with what I printed up. Beltane. Pieces are falling out. I love that one though. I thought she was pretty. Again, lots of petals from flowers and things. Then I guess my coloring of women, that was the last of those. Partly I moved on. My tastes and the way I do things change. I still think this turned out quite lovely. Information, envelopes with more information inside. This is a great way also if you want to be pulling your spells out to use them and keep them back and then put them away after you're done. If you don't want to lug your book around, because I don't, if I'm outside with a fire, I don't want to be lugging my book around. Plus I don't want to get it messed up. This is probably the page I use the most still. My Lunisad, because every year we make corn dollies and every year I need to look again. How do you do that again? And I've used the same how-to for many years now. And so I love that. It's also another very special holiday to me. I know things like Imbolc and Lunisad are the throwaway, non-exciting ones for a lot of people, but for me they have significance. Lunisad is my sobriety date, birth date. So every August 1st is another year of sobriety. I am now 3.5 years, and that, my friends, is a miracle. Ooh. This is also what happens when you're not finished with your book. So I don't have Mabon in here. I thought there was, I thought I remembered there being 1 or 2 holidays. So then you skip ahead. When you get to this section, this is my herbs. So most of these I kept from packages of things I did buy, and then others are things I wrote down the properties of. Another little booklet, mini booklet from a Llewellyn book that I wanted to hold on to. I even included some sideways information here because I love the busy practical magic look, and I feel like this book kind of has it. Spells and potions. I'm going to have to say you'll find that over on Patreon. For my Patreon friends, in here is where I have, to me, the most valuable part of this book. My spells I've used and that have been successful, and then there's another thing at the very end. This one goes back to 2014, which is starting to seem like a long time now. This is a spell I do every year. I think a lot of witches do this one at the new year with bay leaves. Job interview spell. I really need to do this one again because I need to move on. I know I probably won't leave, but I tend to stay long after I should have moved on, and I'm feeling I'll probably be at this school at least 1 more year. We'll see after that, because this worked like gangbusters. I got a job I really can't believe wasn't really qualified for, and I didn't have all the necessary training to do what I was doing. They hired me anyway, and with the understanding that I would get that all taken care of in 5 years. That one, we need to be using this one again soon. I've used it a few times. It's worked great in the past. It does have real snake skin around the edge. Ooh, I need to be careful because I'm making it fall out, but That was a good one. Maybe I will share it here on Patreon one day in the future. I never felt safe sharing it on the regular channel, but here we are. Solstice Elemental Water. Heal Blessings. There's a love spell. I could try that one again too. Witch's Familiar. The Witch's Familiar spell. That one is actually still out there for y'all in the public realm, so enjoy. There's some Banishment. This was another page I really liked how it turned out because you could fold it out and I could incorporate some art from some books I bought at a used bookstore specifically for the purpose of including in here. These are flowers from my mother's funeral and the mourning braid that I did. Okay, let's keep going. So I got into astrology and went online and bought a printout of just detailed information of all of my planets and a snapshot of the sky the moment I was born, since I did have the time that I was born, and it's pretty interesting. Pages and pages of this stuff. So like before, I have a little mini book in my bigger book. It also folds out this way. Whew, my hand is falling off. The whole rest of the original old book is correspondences with witchy people I love. Every postcard, every email that I printed out. There's a lot of New World witchery stuff in here. I keep it in here. I love it. This is like love mail, you know, even if it's just a little thing I got along with a little gift, I keep it because it's love and it makes me happy. Isn't that awesome? And then my trip to Salem, my original trip to Salem. I'm going back in June and I'm dying of joy. Oh my God. It's like, I'm so excited. It's almost inappropriate. But my first trip up there, I met Eden and I have this little folder full of stuff, tags from places we visited, her handwritten letters. She writes the best letters. She writes on giant parchment with a quill. I mean, look at that. That is some kind of dedication and love you will not see from me. I will give you the love and dedication, but I will not sit and handwrite a lot of stuff anymore because it just, whew, that seems above my pay grade. All right, that's my first book. Now, luckily, my second book is sadly very short. There's not much to it. I had it sitting out for the longest time on this dresser, but honestly, I didn't want it collecting dust. I didn't want my cat sitting on it. I didn't want it to draw unwelcome attention. So I wrapped it up in this prayer shawl that I have from my favorite yoga ashram. And I keep it put away on a shelf. I got it out for y'all. I have not looked through here and I have barely used this book. It is huge. It is a tome, not necessarily hardback, but pretty dang close. I adore it beyond words. It's a little doohickey. I'll let you look at it up close. So, and the back looks like the front. It is huge. It'll last me the rest of my life unless something crazy happens. It is larger than my other book, which means if I were to go to do my old school typing and printing, it would require bigger paper. And I will tell you, I'm having issues lately with my computer and my printer getting along. So this was probably gonna be all handwritten, which is why I haven't done much. So opening it up, you can tell it's a work in progress because this is how I do things. I collect stacks and stacks of things that are gonna go in there. Letters, labels. This one was particularly good. just so much goodness in here. Something amazing about this book is the pages are infused with flower petals. Can you see? They are cottony, magnificent, and delicate. You can't erase, which lends itself to more stress with me. It does have its little dedication with some blood and that glued in on the front, which I'm planning to add to, but that was a start. I have a weird system. It makes me think of Lane. Lane, being a Virgo, which I'm not, she stresses over the organizational aspect, and that stress about it has to be organized and how to get started. It kind of stops her from doing things. I heard once from Velma Nightshade, one of her strategies that she had heard of. I don't know if she does this, but she said there is one way of thinking out there where you just open the book anywhere, the middle. There's no rhyme or reason. Just open and start putting stuff in it and don't worry about it. You can always find out later where it is. It's not like you're never going to find it. If you want, you can leave room in the back and have an index for when you're done with everything. Or you can just be like, search for it. You know, you might stumble across something else you need. I thought that was magnificent. So I, on my first pages, opened it to the middle. I got a lot of stuff in here. I really need to do something with this. I'm glad I'm getting all this out because I need to use it. I have dried flowers laying in here. Let me find my first page. I'm not gonna spend time on this, but my very first page ever, I recorded something that Ember Honeyraven said, and it was her fiery wall of protection. And I wish I could show it to you, but I'm not going to because this is private. But it has the ingredients, it has the direction. I put stamps along it to kind of add art. So this is the opposite side that mirrors it, okay? This is an example of one of those little, not even stickers, but like cutouts to add a little je ne sais quoi. Another page that I did, I don't like these two pages, but I was like, screw it, you don't need to like it, you just need to do something. A double page spread all about sage. I brought materials back from one of my witchy meetup groups, the Herbal Cauldron group I like to meet up with, and the herb du jour was sage. This did not turn out great. I don't like it. I'm pretty sure I put the book away after this page, but you know what? Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And to me, this is good enough. But yeah, it looks kind of shitty. I glued in lots of real plant material, real sage. I included the printouts that she gave us during the class. I added paint to it to add a little, you know, decoration, but it looks shitty. It really does. And that's just the way it's going to be. This is not going to be my favorite page, but I'm not tearing it out because literally those are the only pages I have. This one and the Ember one. I don't have anything else in this book, and that, my friends, is a crime. It's a crying shame, and I need to fix that. So I'm not going to sit here and make promises to you because I do notice that sometimes when I promise I'm going to do something, I don't do it. I don't know why. I think it suddenly becomes like elevated, therefore stressful. My best advice to anyone who wants to do something but like create a book, but they feel like they're not artistic or they're worried they're going to ruin it, is just tell yourself this: nobody's going to see this but me. Now, that seems weird that I said that because I just showed you pretty much almost every page in my books, okay? But I did not make these pages thinking that I would share them. If I had thought I was going to share them, I would have never made them because that will freak me out. I used to love being a writer when I was younger. I literally thought I would grow up and that was my dream. I would be a writer. I spent hours of my life as a teenager. I hand wrote and filled so many thick notebooks following a story. They'd be short stories, but mostly really long books that I would spend 2 or 3 years writing. They were garbage, but I didn't know they were garbage until I got older and started reading really good, better literature. But when I wrote them for me. I took a creative writing class in college. I got an A in it. because I do have some talent in writing, but if you write, if you paint, if you draw, if you create a book of shadow, even if you make a video in the beginning, worrying about what others will think, it might not ever come to life or to fruition. My very first YouTube video is, unfortunately, I think is now only on Patreon, but it is me sitting in this spot here, terrified. I was so terrified. I thought, you know what, just record it and just delete it. Just record it, just try. It's probably gonna suck and you'll just delete it, but just try. And that's like the first thing I say. I pretty much say hi, and then I say, if I don't do this now, I'm never gonna do it. And I wanted to do it so bad. And once I got the first one over with, I tried the second one, and it was scary too, but I felt like it was a little bit better. Honestly, by the third or fourth one, I was starting to get my groove and feel good about it. All that is to say is, wow, that was off on a tangent, wasn't it? All that is to say is, this book is for you. Your book is for you. This book is for me and whoever I might share it with, if I do, and I probably will. Do not make your book worrying about what others think. Do not even look at it like this is the one. Look at it like, you know what, it's gonna suck, I don't care, I'm just gonna get started. Because here's the thing, put yourself in the place of your future relatives or whoever might inherit it. If you inherited someone in your family, someone in your family's old book of shadows, even if it was just a freaking marble composition notebook full of scribbles and spills and just like illegible shit, would you be like, oh my God, look at this, this is so pathetic? You would not. You would eat it up. You would value the hell out of it. Especially, I always picture things from your deathbed, like the deathbed mentality of, what do I want to say? What do I want people to remember about me? What do I want to leave behind? I have a few goals going forward. One of them is I'm going to have a journal section where I just write. I'll write my origin story of how I ended up here, how I found my way onto this witchy path. A girl who was a lazy Methodist and who really didn't question things and didn't have strong feelings one way or another. How did I find myself here in a place where not only do I believe in magic, I know it's real. I have caused change in my life because of my intentions and because of my spells. That is an indisputable fact that has blown my mind. It's a fact. I want to write about that. I want to include in my book any family lore I might remember, which is very little, sadly. But there's a few things I can remember from my childhood that some of my Southern grandparents said. It's kind of interesting. I'd like to include that before it goes away completely. And I could ask my sister what she remembers. I could even ask my dad while I still have him if there's anything. I think it's going to be hard with him, but you never know. Stuff comes up. You never know. You just have to ask. I'm not going to sit here and make any promises to you about what I might do in this book, but I do want to tell you that I do intend to add some things. I do intend to do some of that journal writing and to stop worrying about it being perfect. I make lots of mistakes when I write. My hands, because I'm more comfortable with typing, my hands tire and my handwriting is kind of, and I hate it when I make a mistake. I've gotten where I use erasable pen because I need to erase constantly, but I don't want to do that in this book. First of all, it doesn't erase well. Second of all, it's not archival. This kind of pen that I like, that Frixon, however you call it, they're wonderful. But if they get hot, the heat is what makes the ink go away. I don't want that to happen. I want this to last. I have that amazing new fountain pen that Ember sent me, and I would like to try it. My experience with fountain pens in the past is I make a big, blobby, disgusting mess, which I am not willing to do in this book. So what I could do, and what I probably will do, is handwrite it on separate paper and then paste it in like I've done with the other things. Or practice and practice until I feel like I'm better at it. That just doesn't sound like me because I don't put a lot of time. I feel like I don't have a lot of time to spend on stuff. I'm going to add some stuff to it. I feel inspired. I'm going to leave it out. I'm going to still cover it because I don't want my furry cat baby butt all over it, but I'm going to add to it. Maybe even today if I can be properly motivated or capture this motivation before it goes away. I hope this video was a little bit interesting to you or could help any of you who are struggling to write in your book or commit to a book or get started if you want to, or any other little project you want to do. I recommend, if you don't already know her, check out Molly Roberts. She has a YouTube channel. I don't remember if it's still called Her Speak. I get a lot from her via Patreon. Her Patreon page is amazing. I mean, literally, she's so wonderful. Even for $1, you get lots of stuff. She goes way, way up though. You can get some like original artwork from her for the higher up levels. And if I had more money, I would give so much more to these people I love. Anyway, watch her stuff. She has videos, and again, I'll try to include it below, but one of her best videos, my favorite video, about don't be too precious about your book of shadows. Don't let that fear that it's not going to be perfect stop you from creating your work of art, your book of shadows. This is not for anyone else. It's for you. So fuck everybody else. Do your thing. Okay, I gotta go. Thank you for watching. I hope this was okay, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Peace. I'd like to take a moment to say thank you to my wonderful Patreon supporters, and that thanks goes to my elementals, James, Micah, Liz, and Shayna. Welcome. To my spellcasters, Autumn, Corey and Lane, Deborah B, Deborah D, Ember Honey Raven, Kellyanne, Maria, Lolly, and welcome to Rose and Jules. It is beautiful having you here, and I'm so excited. Thank you so much. Lastly, to my 2 enchanters, Heather and Benita. You are the wind beneath my wings. That was horrible and cheesy, and please forgive me. I promise to never do it again. Okay, I don't promise, but I'll try. You make these videos possible. Without your support, I would be sitting here with my hands tied and a gag order because YouTube's not safe for me anymore. Thank you so much for being here and for your support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a beautiful day.